Hello everyone, Via here, and today in this video review we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations Power of the Primes Terrorcon Cutthroat. So here he is, but first we're going to look at the packaging that he comes in. So you can see here on the front we got a picture of him in his monster mode. He is a Decepticon and a Terrorcon. His name is Cutthroat. Power of the Primes right there, ages 8+. By Hasbro. Up here is a pretty cool piece of artwork there. It says Transformers there on the side. On the side here, we have a picture of Abominus, who looks really cool. On this side, we have we have the symbols of the Primes here molded into the plastic. And then on the back, we have some pictures of the figure in his robot mode and his monster mode. He transforms in 11 steps. You can see him with his prime armor. Pictured is also Megatronus, Solus Prime, and Quintus Prime. Prime Masters are sold separately. His bio reads, "How will the merciless Terrorcon shock trooper wield the power of the Primes?" I don't know. How? Probably on his chest like that. And on the bottom, just a bunch of useless stuff. There, it is an authentic Transformers product made in Vietnam. That's it, basically, for the box he comes in. So, moving back to the figure. Actually, before that, in the box, along with the figure and his accessories, comes your set of standard kind of Generations fold-out instructions. That does show, it's very long, that does show all the modes in detail, as well as explaining how the gimmick works, and some stuff here on the back showing that same picture of Abominus in grayscale. You can see Cutthroat is meant to be the leg, according to the directions, but he can be an arm or a leg, as pictured here. That's kind of it for the instructions, and he also does include the collector's card with the Liege Maximus symbol. I believe that's right. Yeah, Liege Maximo, and that same piece of really cool looking artwork of Cutthroat. And on the back, it says Liege Maximo Cutthroat convinces enemies to tear out their own circuits. Kind of violent there, Cutthroat. Don't need that. We're talking about figures here. And if we are talking about figures, this guy is pretty. I really like that the standard Generations line is going for G1 accuracy, because it means that we get Abominus in all his gaudy 90s glory. Oh my god, it looks great. You can see here on the head, it is this kind of muted yellow and purple with some nice cleanly painted red eyes and a Decepticon symbol there on the beak. And yeah, his three main colors are this purple here, this muted yellow, and this dark green, as well as some silver and some blue and a little bit of purple there, right there. On the legs are mostly that yellow with the claws painted silver. The tail is that same green, which it doesn't actually hold together that well. Might have to thicken that peg up a little bit with some floor polish or something. You can see his wings. He does have a pretty impressive wingspan for a deluxe, and he actually can come out even more, like that. And the wings are done in that nice purple plastic with a lot of detail. A lot of detail on those. Talk about the wings a little bit more when we get to posability. And yeah, I think it looks really good. It looks very much like G1 Cutthroat, which unfortunately I don't have. I wish I had the G1 Terrorcons to compare these guys to. Unfortunately, I don't have any of them. I used to have a Ripper Snapper. Don't know where he went, but I did used to have a G1 Ripper Snapper. But besides that, let's get to posability. So The head can kind of bob up and down. You start revealing the robot mode head a little bit, but it can bob up and down. It can also move down on this joint, but that really reveals the robot head. So you just want to bring that up. The mouth can open, or the beak, I mean, can open all the way, revealing a little bit more detail in there. The legs are on a swivel. They can move forward about that far and back about that far. It also has a hinge there at the leg, and the tail is also on a hinge for a transformation, so you can bring that up and bring that down. It only articulates right there. You cannot articulate it anywhere else. And now the star of the show with Cutthroat are his wings. His wings are pretty interesting. So they have 3 distinct positions. So they have this position, which is just kind of straight. You can see it lines up with the combiner port. And it actually does lock in and kind of tab in there. You can see that doesn't go anywhere. It has this position, which is another tab, and it doesn't move. This position is meant for the 2 combined modes. This position is meant for the robot mode and the beast mode. But it can unlock and actually move freely from anywhere on this point, which is pretty nice. The wings can also flap down and flap up. They can actually go all the way up. And there is a hinge here, which again does have locking points, but they are pretty loose and you can move them all the way from there down to there. I didn't even notice this actually. He's got little claws on his wings, which is pretty cool. And now for accessories, he does come with 2. He comes with this gun here, which you can see is done in that purple plastic. It is twin-barreled. Kind of looks like a little spaceship, and it does have the handle, but it also has this peg up here, which what this is for storing on the monster mode, because there are several ports specifically for this gun. So there's this port on the chest that it can plug into with the smaller post right there, but you are kind of shooting up at his face. Not a great look. That will also fit a flight stand. And then there are a couple ports. I'm trying to think, there was one more that I'm missing. Right there. There is a port there in his butt, which again is also for a flight stand, but it can fit his gun either facing backward or facing forward if you want it in the center there. Or he does also have 2 dedicated ports there and there on the wings that can just plug into. And that looks pretty cool. It would look even cooler if he came with 2 of them. That would have been super nice. But no, alas, he only comes with the 1, so you'd have to buy 2 Cutthroats to get the kind of double winged effect. And then his other accessory is the main gimmick of Power of the Primes. The gimmick I haven't really gone into too much because I don't care. And this is also my only Power of the Primes figure, is the Prime Armor. As you can see, his is done in purple with a big yellow square. It's got these spikes there, lots of molded detail on there, and there's 2 ports there on the top. And you can see under here, he's got some folded in fingers and these 2 little tabs. What this is meant for is this piece can actually come out, and you are meant to plug in a Prime Master in there. Now, I don't have any Prime Masters, so what am I going to do? Well, these guys are the same mold. They use the same body type as the Titan Masters from Titan's Return, or the Headmasters. They are the same little robot guys. They look like this. You can see this is, I believe this one's Roundhouse. And you can see that he just folds into a head. And the only difference between Titan Masters and Prime Masters is that the face is replaced with, this, like symbols. But because these are the same mold, I can still plug that into the Prime Armor to kind of give the same effect. It has a face, which is in purple, and I think you're actually supposed to do it like this, which looks stupid, and he can't actually use it that way. More on that in a sec when we get to robot mode. And there's also this peg that flips out. It's on a hinge, so it can fold down like that to plug onto the figure's chest. So we'll pull that out for right now. We'll put this piece back in. This actually has a couple of functions in robot mode and the other modes, but for now, we want to rotate these down because there are those two tabs I mentioned right there and there, and these are how it stores in beast mode. There are two slots there on the wings, and like I said, they have to be bowed out for this. When you have these in, the slots are actually angled, so you need to have them locked in the angled position out like that to line up those slots. You need to also have the peg folded in to line up those slots with the prime armor, and that will just tab into place right there on his back, covering the combiner port. And I actually think that looks a bit better because the combiner port kind of broke up the whole back with a spot of yellow. This kind of completes it with that same purple that is on the wings, or at least a very similar shade of purple. And it also just kind of bulks him up a little bit in the back because he is kind of flat on the back, but that bulks him out a little bit and looks pretty good. You can also store the gun in either of those ports. It doesn't really fit facing forward, but you can plug it in facing backward in there, or it still fits in his ass port right there, or you can use the handle and peg it in to either of these ports on the prime armor itself to still have it pointing forward. And again, it would look really cool if I had two of them. Unfortunately, I don't. We're going to remove this for now because I think we're about done with the beast mode. So we're going to go into robot mode now. We'll go into the combined modes after the robot mode. We're going to do the robot mode first because that's the most important thing, especially since I only have this one. I don't have the rest of Abominus yet. I will be reviewing those eventually when I'm able to get them. Cutthroat is the only one I have right now, and he's pretty gorgeous. So, transformation into robot mode. Take the tail and fold it up. Actually, I forgot to mention one little thing. He's got the little pegs here. This was a thing in Titan's Return and Power of the Primes, and they are meant for Prime Masters or Titan Masters. In their little robot modes, they have little peg holes on the underside of the feet, and they can just peg in right there. So, like if you want him riding, I guess if you want to play pretend and he's like riding the dragon or something, he can't really do much. But he can stand there. I guess if you maybe get him in a flight stand, it would look a little better, but he does just kind of stand there. I wanted to point it out because I did remember, but it is kind of pointless. And by kind of pointless, I mean incredibly pointless. So, transformation into robot mode. Take the tail, fold it up like that. Take the legs, and you want to bring them forward on their hinge and bring them back, just kind of collapsing them onto the side of the leg like this. Do the same thing on this side, just kind of collapse it to the side of the leg to get it out of the way. Next, you want to split the back section. You can see it just tabs in right in there, and these actually double hinge out like this, and this will come in, and this purple section, these will actually slide into these notches here and here. So if we just bring this out while I'm still able to show you, it just notches in like that to form the robot mode leg. Bring that out, lock it in. There you have the robot mode legs all done. Come to these sections here, these untab, these will be the arms. They just tab in to those slots in the side of the waist with those tabs. Bring the arm out, rotate it to the forefront, and you can flip out the hands like that. There you have an arm all done. Same thing on the other side. Just bring out the arm and flip out the hand like that. Now we're almost done. You want to come in here and close up the beak. You want to bring this down and double hinge it down. Just bring it onto his chest like that. And this little head spike just folds in. And then I like to just bring the wings in, and this is actually the first locking point. I didn't point this out in beast mode. There is a little notch there for this little tab to sort of just notch in and stay. And then there's this notch here, so you can just bring that in and kind of notch it into place. It's just a place for it to go and rest, but you can position that basically freely. And there you have Cutthroat in his robot mode, and he looks very good. He looks like G1 Cutthroat. Definitely does look like G1 Cutthroat. Nice colors, nice proportions. He looks like a very generic robot man with wings. And I like that. So let's get in close on the head, which is done in that same yellow plastic with a silver painted face and red eyes. That head is also on a ball joint, but it is really tight on mine and doesn't have much range of motion past, the swiveling. So that's kind of all it can really do. Shoulders are also on ball joints there. And they can move all the way around. Bicep rotation. The elbows do bend that far. The wrists don't have any articulation besides like folding in on that transformation joint. This is really nice. He does have a waist swivel. It's more for combined mode, but it is nice to have a waist swivel in robot mode, and it feels really good. Hips are on nice, tight ball joints. Like that, and there is a thigh swivel right above the bend at the knee. And the feet don't have any articulation, but they are sculpted at a bit tiny, like a tiny angle. So he gets kind of an A stance when he's flat-footed. Accessories store in basically the same ways. The Prime armor can tab into the same slots on the back, like that. So that can just store on the back. That's really nice that that has a place to go, to just stay out of the way and not make the robot mode look worse. I really like that. And the gun can peg into any of the spots before, or it can peg into his hand. Now, let's get it out of the way. I really didn't want to do this, but unfortunately, we have to talk about the Prime armor gimmick. The robot mode is where it is the most prevalent and also where it sucks the most. So this can actually do one of two things. I'll show off the first thing first because it sucks a tiny bit less. So this yellow piece can actually come off, and this is in the instructions. It's gonna look like I fan moded this, but this is in the instructions. This can come off, and he can actually hold this as a gun. That is in the instructions, is him holding that center chunk as a gun. It's not the most unconvincing gun I've ever seen, but it's not good. And then this, again, in the instructions, have to stress that a lot because it looks really dumb. These fold back, and this peg flips down, and he holds onto that. What is that supposed to be? It's not a gun. There's no barrels at the front. Is it a shield? If so, it's kind of terrible shield. It's really big and chunky. He does have these ports on his arms, so I guess you could plug it in there as a shield, but it just looks really bad. And especially when you can just plug it into the back and it looks so much better back there, I don't even want to bother with this. And because this doesn't look as good as the regular gun, I'm just gonna take this, stick that in there, and either leave it off to the side or just tab it into his back. Line up those tabs and just tab that in, because now it's out of sight, out of mind. Or it can fall off because the tabs aren't very tight. We'll put that off to the side for now. It does have another use later on. And he can hold on to the gun like normal. Now he looks good again. Woo. Shit, wait, hold on. I forgot about the other gimmick. Take this out and bring in a Prime Master and peg it into the center. Now, he does have those tabs there, which are mostly meant for storing, but it's also for him to get it onto his chest, because you can see he does not have a port in his chest like most of them do to peg into that peg. His actually has to mount in a special way. These little tabs will actually notch in to slots on either side of the bird head to kind of wrap. You want to wrap it around, you bring that around, tab it in. It's not super secure, but when you get it in place, it doesn't fall off. And just kind of wrap it around like that to have that as a chest piece. That is stupid. It looks bad on this figure. It looks even worse on some other figures. I'm not a fan of this gimmick at all. Doesn't help that I don't have any Prime Masters because these guys don't come with any. So I have to use a Titan's Return head, so he just has a stupid looking face on it. Just get that off. Just screw this piece. it has a use later, a much better use than this. But right now, screw it, because we need size comparisons. So here's Combiner Wars Alpha Bravo. Not a real great comparison since they're both deluxe class, but I don't care because this is my standard comparison figure from now on. I decided that because I like this figure, and he's kind of a really good size standard deluxe. He's the base comparison. So that helped you see that Cutthroat is exactly deluxe class size. Very, very average. Another comparison, Figma Kyoko Sakura. So you can see how he stacks up to a Figma. I decided that these two are going to be my comparison figures, so if you don't like that, well, whatever. I will have others, but for this guy, I don't really have anybody else to compare him to, really. A Transformer and a Figma. Who else am I going to really compare him to? I don't have any other Power of the Primes guys, don't have any of the other Terrorcons. So, yeah. Just had to get that off my chest. But, that is the robot mode. He looks great. Really like this guy. I actually haven't been a fan of the Terrorcons. I don't really like the G1 toys that much. And I thought the design looked kind of dumb in G1. Getting this guy, I got this guy on a whim. I was at a comic shop with a few friends, and I was like looking at the Transformers they had there, and it was really slim pickings. And I saw this guy, Blot, and Sinner Twin, and I picked this one, and I'm really glad I did. He's really fun, and he looks really nice. He's actually got me hopeful for the other Terrorcons, so when I can get those, hopefully I won't be disappointed by any of the other ones, because they all look pretty stellar. So yeah, that is him in robot mode. Now, again, he is a Scramble City combiner, so he can do both combined modes. We're going to go into the arm mode first, because it's easiest to get there from the robot mode. So what you want to do is flip that out and bring this back up like that to form the head. And there is actually a second hinge. It's going to be kind of hard to see. But you can see his head is kind of on this purple panel. So it's not this hinge to bring the head down. It's bringing the entire thing down. You can kind of see, hopefully you can see that panel moving forward like that. That whole panel moves forward to kind of bring the head forward. And you can flip out the combiner peg like that. And you want to bring the wings down into their combined mode position like that. For the arms, you want to fold the hands in, and we're going into arm mode first. You want to just have the arms straight and bend them at the elbow. And then these tabs on the sides of the elbows will peg into the sides there. So just bring that in and peg that in. Bring it in, peg that in, like that. And you want to tab the legs together. This doesn't work that great on mine because, like I said before, the tail doesn't want to hold together that well. You pick the legs together, and then you can bring the wings out because they kind of have to sit special. There's that slot there to go into that tab on the shoulder. You bring the wing in and peg it into place. And you can bring this down as far as it'll go, but it will get stopped by that port there on the arm. Would have been nice if that wasn't there so that wing could swing all the way in. But as it is, it's not too bad. So just bring the wing in and fold it down. And you can have him as a right or left arm by just rotating that in whichever way you want. We'll have him as a right arm. And this is where the prime armor comes back in and stops sucking so hard. So you flip out the peg like that, so it's sticking straight out to the back. Come under here and flip out the fingers. And these thumbs come down on ball joints. Yes, thumbs. For comparison, I have a Combiner Wars hand here. I generally prefer the Combiner Wars hands. I think they look a bit better. I don't like the guns, but I think overall, as a hand, it actually does look a little bit nicer than this one. I don't like the double thumbs. And yes, you can rotate them up like that to kind of mitigate that. Or what I'll end up doing is just popping these off so he only has the one thumb. Or I'll get the Perfect Effect upgrade kit, because these I'm not too big a fan of, but they don't look that bad, especially when they're actually on the figure. You can just peg it in like that. And there is the arm. The arm mode. I'm going to flip that up, actually, because it looks a tad bit better. It's a very nice looking arm mode, and I'm going to rotate this. actually around. Because I do actually have a Combiner Wars combiner to put him on, because this is the same connection type. Same connection port as Combiner Wars. So if I bring in Combiner Wars Superion here with a drag strip leg, just bring this up. I'll explain how this works now for my any other Combiner Wars videos. You can see there's these two tabs here in this little spring-loaded panel. Those tabs will go into the grooves, and the panel will just hook over this. So these are very well designed ports. They stick in there nice and tight. They're very easy to take on and take off, but they stay in place and they look great. So there is Cutthroat as an arm, and as an arm he does have the standard Combiner Wars ratchet joint shoulders. He does have the waist swivel acting as a bicep swivel and double jointed elbows. Don't like taking a look at combiners. Have to stretch my arms out really far. But, so yeah, that's him as an arm. And I think that looks pretty good. So, we'll take him off for now. Take Superion out of here. Come back down to earth. So yeah, that's him as an arm. So we're going to take the prime armor off for now and go into leg mode. So for leg mode, you fold the peg up again, leave the head the way it is, rotate the waist, and fold out the wings. And you're basically returning most of the figure to beast mode. So you rotate the arms and peg them back into the waist, where they were for beast mode. Peg them back in, split the legs, and collapse them back up. Peg them together like that, and the wings fold in again and tab in, and then you can bring the wing down, tap the wing in, bring it down, and there is the leg mode. I don't know why it's bending like that, actually. There we go. So, the unfortunate part about the way Power of the Primes did it is these prime armors can only turn into hands, while Combiner Wars hands could turn into hands and feet. So for the combiners in Power of the Primes, they only included the feet with the torso, the Voyager. So Hunger has the feet. So for now, we're just going to use Alpha Bravo's foot as a substitute, because I don't have the real one. Because I just wanted to show off, if I pull off the leg here of Superion, you can see the peg works the same way, and he is the same height as Firefly here, for example, for the legs. So he does work out as a leg pretty well. He does all of his modes pretty successfully, in my opinion. I think they did Cutthroat very good. And if the other Power of the Primes Terrorcons are even half as good as this guy, I think I'm going to really like Abominus. This guy is pretty damn near flawless, in my opinion. He looks great in all of his modes. He transforms smoothly and cleanly. He's pretty highly articulated for a deluxe. His accessories are decent, besides the prime armor, but there's nothing I can really do about that because that's just the Power of the Primes gimmick. And yeah, he will definitely look good alongside the rest of our kind of generations Abominus. And that is just about all I have to say for Cutthroat here. He's a great looking figure, definitely recommended. And if you like Abominus, even if you don't like Abominus, this guy's a good one. He convinced me. I didn't like Abominus before I got this guy, and now I'm a full fanboy. I want to get the rest of the team to see how this team stacks up because it looks pretty good. I will have a buy link to Amazon and TF Source in the description, as well as my social media links to my Twitter and my Instagram. Again, down below in the description. Please like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will be covering the rest of the Terrorcons eventually. So if you do want to see that, I will be making a playlist when I review the second one. So subscribe to stay tuned for that. And thank you for watching this video on Power of the Primes Cutthroat. And bye-bye. See you next time.